And that doesn't mean that everything has to be a governmental answer. There can be organizations and groups and whatever, but there are certain things that you literally need the structure of a government to be able to do it. And by the way, government is simply an allocation of resources, right? Taxes are incentives. And so we're incentivizing people to do certain activities because the government itself isn't going to do it. But if it can give tax credits or subsidies to specific things that actually help instead of like natural gas and oil, if we can subsidize things that incentivize positive feedback loops and structures that allow people to benefit, like, from national parks, public transit, highways, trains, high-speed rail, all that stuff, right? Airplanes, airports, all of those things, like, we want to incentivize development in, right? We want to make these things better so that everybody benefits. We all use these things. And that's the importance of universality. We need things to be applicable to everybody, because then the second you start making it only for like poor people or whatever, it just gets demonized by the right wing and it gets cut all the time, and that's like one of the best things is like, see, government didn't work because we didn't fund it properly. We wanted it to fail, but see, government fails. And it's like, no, you created that. But when you make something universal, like Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid, those things are universal and therefore have more power because everyone's invested, right? I'm investing in it and I'm getting a return on it. And so why can't we reallocate, certain funds to be towards things that have a proven track record to help society, that have a proven track record to make people's lives better? I don't think that that's radical. I just don't. And you can agree or disagree with me on, big government and blah, blah, blah. But to me, big government is government that tells people, what they can do with their bodies. You're not allowed to play with your consciousness. Nope. You're not allowed to smoke that plant. That plant makes your brain feel different. And I don't like that. I don't know why I gave it a southern accent, but like, why? Why do we let the government control that? But then we don't want them to help, give the infrastructure and the resources for things that actually help people. And, with Medicare for All, this isn't a government takeover of your health care. That's some fucking fear-mongering shit. All it is, the private system is still in place, meaning hospitals, doctors, private practices, whatever. But the healthcare system is a single-payer system, meaning the government is the only one who's paying those people. So the structures themselves are still private, right? The hospital can still run the best way that it thinks it can, but the funding that it gets is coming from the government. And then on top of it, we still can put in regulations and controls so that they can't just charge out the ass for no reason, just to charge the American government. There's got to be protections in place, and, we can talk about the minutia, but I think the premise of it is pretty simple, and literally every other modern nation does it already. So, but America's bigger, it's different. Yeah, but we're innovative. We have a lot of people that can figure this shit out. So I think what's so funny is the people who criticize it the most are the ones who try to like do that jingoism, America, team fuck yeah, all that. But then they want to be so self-defeatist, like, oh, well, we could never figure that out. That system would never work in America. It's like, why? Aren't we the greatest nation? We're the richest country in the history of the world. Literally, the richest country in the history of the world. And yet we can't figure out a healthcare system that works for people when we've been advocating for it since JFK. I watched a speech of JFK being like, my opponents don't think that we could do healthcare. And like, we've literally been fighting this fight for fucking, it's like 60 years now, just a little under 60 years. So, and it's even longer than that, because I think FDR also kind of advocated for that. But, the premise is that we've been fighting this fight for a long time. And we get gaslit by these pundits and these people who have great insurance, who don't give a fuck whether you do or don't, who never talk to regular people and have no perspective on what the average person actually feels like, and doesn't know what it's like to go into the doctor and, even with your insurance, be paying out the fucking ass for some procedure that it shouldn't cost that much. And that's the other thing too, is our cost controls are crazy. I didn't mean to turn this into a fucking Medicare for all thing, but I really do think that almost everything ties back to it. I think it's one of the premier issues of our time. And I think that healthcare is a human right. And, we can't expect, do you really want to live in a system where if you don't have enough money, you die? Like, is that cool with you? And you know what? I talk to conservatives where that is cool with them. Now, it's cool with them until they're sick, and I guarantee you they'll fucking change their tune. But, some people just don't know how to put themselves in other people's shoes. Like, they just don't. And they're not horrible people because of that. They just, they're just not that empathetic, But you don't need to be to understand the functional reasons and the actual cost reasons, which, by the way, everything gets cheaper in that system. And the death lines that exist already exist. They exist if you don't have enough money. And I hate the argument of oh, but you're never turned away from a hospital. It's like, yeah, but if you need constant treatment all the time and you need to pay for medication, all that, you are turned away if you don't have enough money to buy the medication. So there are people rationing insulin. There are people who ration their medication and they die. They literally die because they are not actually giving themselves enough. So to me, this is my number one issue, 100%. I've gone to so many fucking doctor's offices where I went in, before I had insurance, I went in and I was treated like a second-class citizen there. I was like, oh, you don't have insurance? And you can just see the tone shift. You can just see the way that they treat you oh, this motherfucker's not going to be able to pay this, And I hated it. I hated feeling that because I felt like I was looked down upon by everybody in the fucking office. And man, the amount of money out of pocket, even when I had insurance, and I have insurance again now, but even when I had insurance with my last job, I still paid a lot of money out of pocket, to do basic procedures. And that's what's so frustrating to me is they want to talk about, well, if you have insurance, you can keep it. It's keep what? What decisions do I get to make with insurance? I don't get to make any decisions with insurance. I don't get to make decision on who my insurer is. My employer decides that. They can change that anytime. They can take it away at any time, technically. And granted, I have worked for good companies that don't do that, but it's possible, right? We saw that with the GM, with their, they were striking and they took away their healthcare. So, that's dangerous to let a company have that kind of power over you because your health is everything, and when you're sick, there's nothing you care more about than wanting to be healthy. So they have that power. Then I don't get to pick my doctor because guess what? It matters whether it's in network or not in network. And, oh, we're expanding our network. We're making it bigger. And it's yeah, but how about in a single payer system, a Medicare for all system, you can go to any doctor you want and it's always covered because that's just how it works, right? You don't get to make any decisions with, well, I guess I really covered that aspect of it because I feel like the doctor is really what most people care about, right? There are certain people they trust, they've gained a rapport with, and then if they change jobs, which actually that's another thing too, is if you change jobs, you lose your health care. Or you have to change to another one, which then maybe your doctor who you love and you've gone to for 10 years now is no longer in network, which means you pay more out of pocket. And then the fact that you're paying a premium every month and you're paying co-payments and you're paying deductibles, it's what about the system makes sense? It literally doesn't make any sense. And I remember sitting in on the insurance plan at my new job as part of the new year, open enrollment coming around. And the whole time I'm listening to it, I'm just why are we okay with any of this? This shit is disgusting. This is people's lives. And we're talking about oh yeah, well, you only have to pay $2,000 out of pocket if you have this plan. And as long as they're in network, they'll cover 80% of it and you'll still pay 20% for the visit. And then all exams, you pay 40% of it and the insurance will cover 60. Dude, fuck all of that. That is way too confusing. How about I go in, you do the tests, they're all covered, and I pay for it through my taxes. At the end of the year, I pay for it through my taxes. That's just a bill that I don't have to think about. I don't have to think about filling out forms. I don't have to think about any of that shit. Come on. That to me, I can't even believe we live in the system and that people have accepted it for as many decades as they have. And especially now in the age of the internet, come on, we know that this shit's ridiculous. We literally know that this shit's ridiculous. It's insane. This is an insane system that if you lived in any other country, and they had that video of a bunch of British people being asked how much they thought an ambulance costs and how much they thought all these other things cost, and they were dumbfounded, holy fuck, Americans pay that? Yes. And we do not have the highest outcomes. We do not have the highest, well, we do have the highest cost. We have the highest cost. We don't have the highest outcomes. We do have wait times. We do have other barriers. the whole argument, there's no choice in America with healthcare. There's literally none. There's none. You have no choice. And the illusion of choice, it's not even the illusion of choice. There's no illusion of choice. You just straight up don't. But then they try to tell you, if you want your plan, you can keep it. Like fucking Pete Buttigieg. If you want your plan and you like it, you can keep it. Who likes their insurance company? Oh, wait. Because no one likes their insurance company. Literally nobody likes their insurance company. I want you to find me one fucking person on this planet. And by this planet, I mean only America, because we're the only one that has this stupid fucked up system. Find me somebody in America that's like, I like my plan. I like paying my deductibles and my co-pays. It's awesome. I really like it. Fucking nobody feels that way. Literally nobody. And nothing makes me hate the healthcare system more than going to these doctor offices and having my time wasted. You know how many times I've gone in and like not been properly taken care of or not given antibiotics when I actually needed them?